God has an urgent message specifically for you right now. You've been feeling something strange in your spirit lately, restless nights, unexplained anxiety, and a growing sense that something isn't right in your closest relationships. These feelings aren't random or meaningless. God is preparing your heart to receive a painful but necessary truth about betrayal happening right under your nose. Someone very close to your heart, someone you deeply trust and love, has been hiding something from you. This revelation is coming whether you feel ready or not, because divine timing waits for no one. God needs you to hear this message before more damage occurs to your heart, your peace, and your family. His protective presence is surrounding you right now as this difficult truth begins to emerge. Those recurring dreams that left you feeling uneasy? The gut feelings you've been trying to ignore? The small inconsistencies in stories that didn't quite add up? These were all signs from heaven, gentle warnings that God has been sending to prepare you for what He's about to reveal. God has revealed something that will shake you to your core. Someone close to your heart is involved in a sinful affair with another person in your life. This isn't a stranger or distant acquaintance. This betrayal involves people within your own inner circle, possibly even family members or those you considered your closest friends. The affair has been happening right under your nose, hidden behind smiles and normal conversations. Both parties involved have been carefully constructing a web of deception, meeting secretly while maintaining their innocent appearances in front of you. They've been lying directly to your face, manipulating situations to create opportunities to be together, and covering their tracks with practiced ease. The sacred bond you thought existed, whether marriage vows, family loyalty, or trusted friendship, has been violated in the worst possible way. This isn't a one-time mistake born from weakness. This is an ongoing, deliberate betrayal that's been unfolding for weeks or even months. Your trust has been exploited, your peace has been stolen, and your family harmony is under direct attack. The person you trusted most has been living a complete double life, showing you one face while living another reality behind closed doors. God sees everything they've done in secret, every lie, every meeting, every moment of deception. The time for divine exposure has arrived, and everything hidden will be brought into the light. This revelation will bring pain, but it's necessary for your protection and ultimate healing. God wants you to look back now with clear eyes and see the signs that were there all along. Think about the unexplained absences that were explained away with vague excuses about work commitments or errands that took longer than they should. Notice how their behavior has changed in subtle ways, sudden new attention to physical appearance, purchasing new clothes, or changing hairstyles without any special occasion. The secrecy around their phone has increased dramatically. They change passwords you once knew, delete message histories, and angle the screen away when texting. Watch how they become emotionally distant from you while seeming distracted, lost in thoughts they won't share. When you ask simple, innocent questions, their reactions are defensive, sometimes even aggressive, as if you're accusing them of something. Pay attention to how the other person involved shows unusual interest in your schedule and whereabouts, asking when you'll be home or away. Conversations between them stop abruptly the moment you enter a room, followed by awkward silence or obvious subject changes. You may have noticed increased criticism of you from the person closest to your heart. This is them building justification for their guilt, trying to make you seem like the problem. Your children or pets may act strangely around these individuals, sensing the deceptive energy that animals and innocent souls can detect. That gut feeling that something is off, despite their constant reassurances that everything is fine, your spirit was trying to warn you. The small lies that seemed harmless were actually building blocks of a much larger deception. Notice how they defend each other in ways that seem overly protective or unnecessary. There's been an energy shift in your home, a heaviness, a tension that hangs in the air without clear cause. Your prayers have become more desperate lately without you fully understanding why. You may have noticed times when their stories about where they were don't quite match up when you piece the details together. Financial irregularities you couldn't quite explain might suddenly make sense. God has been showing you clues through dreams and intuition. That recurring dream about betrayal wasn't your imagination, it was divine revelation preparing you for this moment. God is not only revealing this betrayal to you, but is also wrapping you in His powerful protection during this difficult time. His angels are surrounding you right now as you process this painful information. You are not alone in this storm. Begin each morning with this prayer for strength. God, give me the courage to face truth with grace, the wisdom to respond with your guidance, and the strength to stand firm in your love. Close your eyes and visualize God's pure white light creating a protective barrier around your heart, shielding you from the full force of this emotional pain while still allowing you to heal. Spend time meditating on Psalm 91, which speaks of God's protection and refuge during times of trouble. This is crucial. Do not confront anyone immediately. Wait for God's perfect timing. Reacting in anger or hurt right now could make the situation worse. Take time to gather your thoughts, strengthen your spirit, and seek God's specific guidance for your next steps. Maintain your composure even when everything inside you wants to explode. This shows spiritual maturity and allows God to work on your behalf. Create a dedicated prayer corner in your home where you can have daily communion with God about this situation. Consider a period of fasting and prayer to receive clear divine guidance on what actions to take. Ask God specifically to reveal the full truth at the right moment in the right way. If children are involved in this situation, pray protection prayers over them daily, asking God to shield their hearts and minds. Spiritually cleanse your living space from the energy of deception that has been operating there. You can do this through prayer, playing worship music throughout your home, and declaring God's truth over every room. Use holy water or blessed oil to anoint your doorways, asking God to guard who and what enters your space. The power of worship music cannot be underestimated during this season. It lifts your spirit, drives away oppressive feelings, and reminds you of God's faithfulness. Surround yourself with strong believers who can pray with you and for you. Don't walk through this alone. Keep a prayer journal to document the guidance God gives you, the scriptures that speak to your heart, and the signs of His presence during this trial. You'll know God is working when you experience sudden peace in moments of anxiety, unexpected clarity about confusing situations, and divine appointments where the right people or information come to you at exactly the right time. Remember, God has a way of turning betrayal into breakthrough, pain into purpose, and devastation into destiny. The spiritual armor you need right now consists of truth, righteousness, faith, salvation, and God's Word. Put on this armor daily through prayer and scripture reading. Trust completely that God's timing for exposure is perfect, even when you're anxious for resolution. This revelation happening now is actually divine mercy. God is stopping further damage and beginning your healing process at exactly the right moment. God is removing the scales from your eyes so you can finally see clearly what's been hidden from you. God has His own methods for exposing hidden sin, and His ways are perfect. Truth always comes to light because God Himself is truth, and darkness cannot hide from His presence forever. The Bible promises in Luke 8 verse 17 that what is done in darkness will be brought to light. Watch how God orchestrates events and circumstances to make this deception impossible to hide any longer. He arranges divine appointments and situations that reveal truth without you having to become a detective or snoop through anyone's belongings. The exposure might come through an unexpected phone call from someone who unknowingly reveals crucial information. It could be a message sent to the wrong person by accident. It might be location data, social media posts, or receipts that suddenly surface at exactly the right moment. Pay attention to how God brings people into your path who have pieces of the puzzle you need. Someone may share something with you innocently, not realizing how significant that information is to your situation. Technology often betrays the betrayers. Messages appear on locked screens, emails remain logged in, or cloud storage reveals what was meant to stay hidden. The role of divine appointments cannot be overstated, you being in the right place at exactly the right time to see or hear something revealing. Watch how their own guilt causes them to slip up in their stories. Liars must have perfect memories, and under the pressure of maintaining deception, they will make mistakes. God gives you supernatural discernment during this time, the ability to recognize truth from lies, to sense when you're being manipulated, and to see through practiced deception. Stay prayerful as the exposure unfolds because God will guide each step. Sometimes God exposes privately first, giving you time to prepare emotionally and spiritually before others find out. Public exposure often follows naturally as consequences unfold. You'll watch as their carefully constructed house of lies begins to crumble, one piece at a time. They'll be shocked at how everything unraveled despite their careful planning, never realizing that God Himself was bringing their deeds to light. God's justice system is perfect. Everyone faces consequences for their actions eventually. The spiritual law of reaping what you sow is real and unavoidable. The exposure will bring pain initially as the full scope of betrayal becomes clear, but this pain leads to healing. You cannot heal what you don't acknowledge. Trust God's process even when watching the exposure unfold is uncomfortable or heartbreaking. The pain of betrayal is real, deep, and legitimate. God acknowledges your suffering and doesn't minimize it. He sees every tear, feels every heartbreak, and understands the depth of your wound. Look at biblical examples of those who faced betrayal and survived. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, yet God restored him to a position greater than he could have imagined. David was betrayed by trusted advisors and even his own son, yet God kept His promises and established David's kingdom. Job lost everything through circumstances beyond his control, faced accusations from his own wife and friends, yet God restored double what was taken. These stories aren't just ancient history, they are promises that God restores those who trust Him through betrayal. God promises in Psalm 147 verse 3, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. This is His personal commitment to you right now. The journey from devastation to restoration begins with surrender, giving your pain to God rather than trying to carry it alone. He has broad shoulders and can handle the weight you're bearing. Learn to process your anger in healthy ways that honor God. Anger itself isn't sinful, even Jesus got angry. But what you do with that anger matters. Take it to God in prayer, write it out in a journal, talk to a Christian counselor, but don't let it control your actions or turn into bitterness. Understand the difference between godly forgiveness and worldly reconciliation. Forgiveness is something you do for your own spiritual health, releasing the debt you feel others owe you and giving that debt to God to handle. But forgiveness doesn't automatically mean trusting that person again or staying in a harmful relationship. God's wisdom includes setting biblical boundaries with those who have betrayed you. Some relationships are meant to end for your protection. Seek Christian counseling during this healing season. A godly counselor can help you process trauma, identify unhealthy patterns, and build strategies for moving forward. Surround yourself with a strong faith community that can support you practically and spiritually. You need people who will pray for you, check on you, and remind you of God's faithfulness when your faith wavers. Discover how worship becomes spiritual warfare against depression and bitterness. When you worship God despite your pain, you're declaring that He's bigger than your circumstances. Create specific prayers for healing your broken heart and wounded spirit. Pour out your honest feelings to God. He can handle your anger, your questions, and your pain. Declare God's promises over your situation daily, speaking life and hope even when you don't feel it yet. Consider fasting for a period to seek clarity about whether specific relationships can or should be restored. God will give you peace about the right path forward. Understand that some relationships are meant to end for your protection, and that's okay. God will bring new, authentic people into your life who value you properly. There's purpose behind this pain, character refinement, and spiritual growth that couldn't happen any other way. This experience will deepen your relationship with God in ways prosperity never could. Your testimony of surviving this betrayal will help others facing similar situations. God promises in Romans 8 verse 28 to work all things together for good for those who love Him. This doesn't mean the betrayal was good, but that God will bring good from it. The beautiful life God is preparing for you beyond this betrayal is worth the pain of walking through this valley. Your comeback will be greater than your setback because God specializes in redemption stories. What feels like an ending is actually a divine setup for a new beginning. God is removing wrong people from your life to make room for the right ones. This painful process is actually God's protection, though it doesn't feel like it right now. How betrayal reveals character is one of its few gifts. You now know who people truly are beneath their masks. This knowledge saves you from even worse pain down the road. Imagine if this had continued for years more, with deeper entanglement and more damage. God is cutting you free now as an act of mercy. Doors that seemed permanently closed are about to swing wide open because you're now free from the deception that was blocking your path. God promises in Joel 2 verse 25, "I will restore the years the locusts have eaten." Every moment stolen by this betrayal, every opportunity missed because of their deception, God will restore it all. New relationships are coming, built on foundations of truth, respect, and godly principles. You'll experience the blessing of authentic connections versus the exhaustion of toxic bonds. Your testimony about surviving this betrayal will help others who are trapped in similar situations, giving their suffering meaning and offering them hope. God is positioning you for greater purpose through this pain. There's a ministry being birthed from your mess becoming your message. Others need to hear how God brought you through this valley. You've gained increased discernment as a gift from this experience. You'll never be deceived this easily again. Stronger faith has been developed through walking through this fire. The character development that only comes through trials has been forged in you. God's supernatural provision during this transition will amaze you, money appearing when needed, opportunities opening unexpectedly, favor in unlikely places. Unexpected blessings will start appearing as you trust His process rather than trying to force your own solutions. The peace that surpasses understanding will settle over you, a deep calm that doesn't make logical sense given your circumstances, but comes from knowing God has you. New dreams and visions for your future will begin forming in your heart and mind as God downloads His plans for your next chapter. This betrayal is actually redirecting you toward your true calling, the path God always intended but you couldn't see while surrounded by deception. Experience the freedom that comes from living in truth versus deception. No more walking on eggshells, no more ignoring red flags, no more pretending everything is fine when it's not. God promises that your latter days will be greater than your former days. The best is truly yet to come. Watch for signs that confirm you're on the right path, doors opening easily, favor with people, provision appearing, peace in your spirit. Trust God's timeline for your healing and restoration. He's never early, never late, always right on time. God is speaking to you specifically through this message right now. The divine timing of you finding this video is not coincidental. You were meant to see this today, at this hour, in this moment. Take immediate action to strengthen your spiritual protection. Don't wait until tomorrow or next week. Begin the prayer practices today, before the full exposure happens and emotions overwhelm you. Prepare your heart to receive difficult truth with grace rather than reactive anger. God is calling you to trust Him completely through this storm, even when the path isn't clear. Your response to this betrayal will determine your future trajectory. Will you become bitter or better? Choose faith over fear, truth over comfortable denial, and God's way over people-pleasing. The spiritual warfare is real and intensifying. You need daily prayer covering to stand strong. Join this community of believers who can support you through this valley. Show your appreciation for this divine warning by supporting this ministry. Your gift helps others receive similar life-changing guidance. Give super thanks up to $20 to strengthen this spiritual work and keep these messages reaching those who desperately need them. God's protection and guidance are with you right now, in this very moment. Angels are standing guard around you. Trust completely that this revelation, as painful as it is actually divine mercy protecting your future from even greater harm. Your breakthrough is coming through this breakdown. Stand firm.